going to go ahead and get started. Today's topic is going to be the shift, and it's really about redirecting, um, how to engage in a manner that's more positive than negative as we redirect. So it says teaching, not tearing down. So when we're talking about redirecting a minor, regardless of the age, we have to think about what's the purpose here. Are we looking to tear down or are we looking to teach for further usage later in life? So that's our topic for today. Before we begin, I want to lay down ground rules, or the truth is, this is a safe space. So please do not feel embarrassed. Do not feel ashamed. We're all learning together. I will tell you, I am not the perfect Patty. I do not pretend to know all the answers, but I believe that if we bring positivity to the table with a little bit of experience, because I'm an older person and got some experience under my belt, then we can grow and change the trajectory of our youth. In this space, there's no judgment, no shame, no need to pretend. We honor honesty, we honor growth, because that's what the ultimate goal is, to grow. Um, Grow us as well as the minor. And we honor the journey each of us is on because none of us were handed the perfect parenting manual. There is no such thing. We're going to do it through trial and error, but let's minimize the errors and minimize the impact of those errors. We recognize that many of us are parenting while healing because we had some traumatic experiences growing up. I'm sure each and every one of us has a story because we all have a background. And I know my mom wasn't the perfect mom. I wasn't the perfect mom. So we're healing from those traumas, whatever your journey looks like. But rest assured, you belong here. You are enough and you are not alone. We often put ourselves on an island. Nobody does this the way we do it. I feel like such a failure because my kid is angry all the time with me. We don't have a great line of communication, whatever that looks like. But you are not alone. I think every one of us can attest that we've all felt like, man, how did I mess up that bad? But recovery, okay? Um, This is a space rooted in love, grace, and community. And with that community, I meant the betterment of our community as a whole. Here we speak truth with care. We uplift, not tear down. We ask questions without fear of being wrong. We respect each other's paths, even if it looks different than ours. So, who am I? I am Amelia, a dedicated mental health professional with a master's degree in psychology, proud parent of two college graduates, and they are all humanitarians, or both humanitarians, I shouldn't say all, but they are both humanitarians in the education field. Um, so we are doing this journey together. My passion is families and minors. I want to empower minors, but I want the family to be whole. So that's who I am. And I welcome you to this safe space. And let's dive in. Why this matters. This matters at this time because our minors are growing faster than we could have ever imagined. You look up, you have a cute little baby, and the next thing you know, you have a teenager. So now is the time. It's it's time out for saying, I turned out fine. This is no longer the goal. We don't want to just turn out fine. And what is fine? Do we suppress those emotions? Do we suppress that trauma? How long does that last? Because we all know that stress eats from the inside out. And so while we look good on the outside and we maintain a sense of mobility and but we're just surviving. And now is the time that we want to parent for our kids to thrive, not just survive. In this moment, we want this session about unlearning as well as relearning and realigning. Our parenting roots. As I stated earlier, we all come from backgrounds that brought about some type of trauma, right? So, survival parenting. During slavery and Jim Crow, parenting was about not dying. Harsh discipline was rooted in fear for safety. So, when you're redirecting, because I'm not going to say disciplining as much, when you're redirecting your child, what is the root of that redirection? Is it out of fear? Is it out of safety? Is it out of anger? What is the root? So we have to do an internal search, or is it just out of frustration? Because, I done worked all day and I don't have the energy, excuse me, for this kind of stuff right now, right? So um, we have to be mindful of what the root is. Respectability politics. Many of us were taught to parent in ways that made our children safe in white spaces. Be quiet, be still, be good, because being too loud, too free, too expressive could cost them opportunities or their lives. And as I stated, being aware, it could have been out of awareness. I'm sorry, it's awareness. If we know where it comes from, we can decide what to keep and what to leave behind. Am I frustrated? Am I concerned about the safety in this action or this behavior? What is our root cause for the redirection? It is important to name that many of us didn't get tools. We got fear. We didn't get explanations. We got because I said so. I don't know how many of you all have ever heard that, but I heard that my whole life. Cause I said so. Mama, why I got it? Cause I said so. And we survived. But that didn't mean we were fully seen, nurtured, or emotionally safe. We came through it. We did what was told because we didn't want what came if we didn't. But was it beneficial? Did I learn from that? What did I gain in that moment other than fear of the parent or fear of the discipline, right? So, discipline versus punishment. Long-term effects of punishment is fear, disconnection, and low self-esteem. Real power is in teaching boundaries with love, not force. So, you want to really relay what you want to change. Excuse me, and why it needs to change. Not just change it because I said so, not just beat them into submission and have them afraid of you because of the repercussions that comes behind. So, discipline is to teach, guide, and correct. Punishment is to control, inflict pain or shame. Behavior is communication. Kids aren't bad. Children aren't bad, they're often misunderstood. I'm tired. I need connection. I feel out of control. These are behaviors. Discipline should not be the response to to the need, not the behavior. I'm sorry, should be a response to the need, not the behavior. So we need to find out what they're needing. Are they needing a nap? I'm sorry. Are they needing a nap? Are they needing some love time? Do they need a hug? Are they needing food? What is it? They need some attention. What kind of attention are they seeking right now? And why is it that attention needed? Okay, so we got to be mindful. What triggers you? Talking bad. How many of us heard, you better not talk back. Don't eyeball me. Don't this, don't do that. You know, you're being sassy. You think you're grown. All of this just because you had a statement to make in a time where they considered it talking back or being disrespectful, acting grown. You done got too big for your britches. Let's think about it. Is this about the child or is this touching something in me? Do I feel disrespected because my child has a voice? Do I feel that it's talking back when they're expressing how they're feeling in that moment? What should the response be? How should I engage in that moment? When I think about kids and what triggers me, um, I think about my girls, and they were definitely early independence, right? Um, they had opinions, they had thoughts, and didn't mind expressing them in any way, shape, form, or fashion, right? So that was a trigger for me because I was always taught that that was disrespectful. But I learned that it's not being disrespectful, it's being human, it's expressing yourself. And what we're really truly rearing in this time is little adults. So why shouldn't they have an opinion? Why shouldn't they have a voice? So we have to heal our trauma in order to not be triggered. Redirection. One of the ways I think we should address any subject, I like to say parents need to take time outs instead of putting the kid in time out. But how can we convey that it's a time and a place? Okay, how can we convey that it's a time and a place? A time and a place for which part? Okay, so talking back at a certain time is disruptive. Got it. Yes, that's true. So you have to dictate what's the appropriate time. Now, I'm not saying that you lose all parental rights, right? So I'm not asking you to allow your child to be disruptive. I'm asking you to allow your child to have a voice, but there is a time and a place. So if you're in the middle of a grown-up conversation and they're interjecting, then yes, that you need to redirect. Okay, and redirecting is just simply explaining, hold on, this is not a conversation for you at this moment, and maybe I need you to go in another room while I finish this conversation. Or if it's not in the midst of a grown-up conversation, can you give me an example of when else you find it disruptive for them to be voicing their concern or their, having a voice at that moment? Because if it's a grown-up conversation, then by all means, redirect. This is not your conversation. But give me an example if you can.
And I also say that sometimes, kids have a hard time understanding timing. And so one thing that I do with my kids is like, I want to hear what you're saying, but this is going on right now and this is more important. And so it's not me dismissing you forever. I'll give you a specific time when I'm gonna follow back up with you, you know? So it's like, yeah, what you want to say is important, but it's important to you right now. It's important to me later. It's not important to me right now. So, just giving that language to say like, okay, hold that thought. I'll talk to you in a minute, or when I'm done talking to, dad, or, whoever it is that you're talking to, I'll follow back up. And, after I get done with that conversation, I will address whatever thoughts you have. The only thing about it is you have kids will call you out, So if you don't come back, they're gonna be like, oh, I thought you said you was gonna talk to me. So building that trust and that foundation to be able to say like, oh, um, I know that mom or whoever guardian is going to give me the attention that I'm asking for when they said they were going to do it. So it's partially like on us to make sure that we build that relationship of trust to know that, okay, when mom is done doing whatever, if she says she's going to talk to me about it, she's going to talk to me about it.
Right, following through with what you said, keeping your end of the deal. But and hear you. Daughter will interrupt while I speak to father, but she also has ADD, ADHD. Okay, and that's fine. And as was just stated, sometimes you just have to give them that time. Say, hold on, let me finish this conversation. Keep your thought though, because I want to hear what you had to say. It's simply redirecting. Or you can even explain, because I think when you have understanding or knowledge for understanding, it helps. So hold on. Me and auntie, me and dad, we're talking right now, and this is more important. So keep your thought, and I'll get back to it. Just simply explaining, I'm in the middle of a conversation that needs to be addressed right here, right now, and it's adults. So hold on, and I'll come back to you, as was stated. But and also in that moment, staying calm, don't match energy. Oh my God, I can't tell you how many times we have that tug of war, that power struggle, and we're matching the energy. Cause you not the mama, cause and that is not beneficial for anybody. That is going to only escalate the situation. So you have to be calm, and your voice has to say what you, I don't know if you've paid attention, but usually your voice expresses what your feelings are. I've been told multiple times, I can say it, or I can show it in my facial features. Your voice and your face says whatever your body is feeling. So, learning how to control your own emotions in the heat of the moment. And I know we all have the skill set because we've all had a job and our boss said something crazy and we did not because we needed to feed the family, right? So, we can do it, we just have to learn to do it in those situations where we feel comfortable not doing it, right? So staying calm and not matching energy. Offer choices. I'll be back in 5 minutes. I said parents often need to take the time out, not the kids. Don't put the kids in timeout, put yourself in timeout. Regather yourself. Think about what is going on with you in this moment. I'm frustrated because I had a bad day at work. I'm frustrated because mom and dad been arguing all day. I haven't ate yet. It's been, 5 hours since I had me anything to eat. I might be dieting right now or fasting. And so my sense of understanding, my ability to handle certain things aren't there. I don't have the capacity right now. So let me take a break before I respond. Go take you 5 minutes, get yourself together, figure out what's going on with you before you address your child. Um, and I like the connecting eye contact and eye level, because often when we're standing over a child, that's um, depowering. It's emasculating them because we're bigger, we're stronger, we're standing over, we're looking down. We don't want that. We want to come down to their level, see them eye to eye, allow them to know that we are really concerned about whatever it is that they're concerned about, or we're really serious about whatever we're talking about, but we're on the same level here. So I want you to see my eyes. And I work in foster care, just a little bit of self-disclosure. I work in foster care, and often, 9 times out of 10, I always tell a minor, look at my eyes, because I want you to see the sincerity. I know you can hear it in my voice, but I need you to look into my eyes. So I'll get down on the floor, I'll get down on one knee, and I'll be like, look at me. You see me? I'm serious. I want to help you, but I need you to open up, right? So what's different with that child versus your child? Absolutely nothing. You need them to understand. You need them to see you, look into your eyes, feel you, take those emotions down, make eye contact, show sincerity, show the love, show the concern. And then sometimes using natural consequences is an option. If you throw that toy and it breaks, you just lost a toy. Natural consequences to your action. If you don't brush your teeth, you end up with cavities. Natural consequences. I'm not saying let your child get cavities, because that's going to cost you when that pain starts, okay? But I'm just saying sometimes natural consequences are an option. If you drop down on the floor and you hurt your knee because you dropped down on the floor trying to throw a tantrum, natural consequence, right? And then we already talked about it. Explain the why. We don't hit because, and that physical interaction. That that there, that is so embedded in our DNA. Okay. We will fight to the death and the detriment. So if we start out hitting and then they start hitting, what does that teach them? And you're saying, oh, you can't be hitting somebody, but you hit me all the time. That's your way of getting me to do what I want you or what you want me to do. So now I'm hitting them because I want them to do what I want, which is not talk about me, which is not look at me crazy, which is not step on my shoes, which is not push, you know. So we have to be mindful of the messages we're sending, explaining the why. Gentle does not mean weak. It doesn't. We can often think they're being too gentle. What about around family members who think it's okay to pop them? Husband who thinks it's okay. Then we have to teach. That's teachable moments. That those are teachable moments. Um, and as we stated in the beginning, where does it stem from? It stems from the Jim Crow and fear. It stems from slavery and whipping, with the whips, not just beating you behind, but whippings. And then, so when we're popping them, what are we saying to them? That's not what we want. So you have to educate those who are around your child as well. Um, Me and my husband, I'll be the one to admit, I told you, self-disclosure, I'm an honest person. We whooped that because that's what we were taught. And it's not the answer. You as you grow, you learn. So my daughters helped teach me, but also my education helped teach me and the field that I work in. That's not the answer. You can accomplish the same thing without laying your hands on the kid. So educating adults, it's not impossible. It does take some realignment and retraining and rethinking because that's what you know. It's a quick reaction, pop them and keep going. But what did you just teach them? Absolutely nothing. To fear you because you will hit them. That's it. You haven't taught them why. Did you explain to them what they did wrong? Did you talk about why it's wrong? Not just because I said so. Rules are generally set in place for safety. So if they're doing something that is harmful, that's when you explain. If you pull on that rope, it's going to pull that over and that's going to fall on you, and then you're going to be hurt. If you climb up on the couch, if it tips back, you're going to fall. You know, those type of things so teaching the adults as well as teaching the children is often a thing we have to do,
I
unfortunately.
I can also give some input on this because me and my husband come from very different upbringings and experience and had different opinions about discipline as well. And I would say like you already mentioned, like it took a lot of conversation and it still takes a lot of conversation sometimes because when you think about kids and you think about the fact that like okay I really want you to understand this ultimately because you could get hurt um and you think of, and again like you said earlier it's a lot of it that's rooted in fear, right? Like you think about popping your child when they cross the street without looking both ways because you could get hit by a car and blah 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 blah. Like it's ultimately for your safety. But I think that it comes from a lot of consistency on both sides and a lot of being able to find creative ways to implement discipline because I think, discipline is necessary. Kids want discipline. Like they need it, they want it, they yearn for it, they respond to it. I don't think that discipline is a problem, but I think that so many times we like to shortcut things because we don't have time to explain to you why. We don't have time to, keep giving you this redirection all the time. Like sometimes I just want you to get it. But I mean, and that was my husband's point of view is like if I pop them they gonna get this right tomorrow. We can redirect them and it's gonna take 2 weeks, for them to get it. But I think the consistency matters because it's like, okay, if my parent is consistently saying this over and over, then it must be important. And like I said, we get a lot of our, I think about like the Cosby Show and TV shows like that, where they were really creative with the discipline. And it was like, oh, you didn't do your homework, you got an F in your class. It looks like, you got exactly what you asked for or what you worked for, or what you earned. And so I think it's the same way with kids, like having some type of system where if you don't, then this is what happens. And like me and my husband are, like I said, every day working on these type of conversations, because it is a lot of work on the parents. But I think, you know again, back in the day when we were being raised, parents didn't have the capacity, they didn't have the time, they didn't have the energy, all of that. So it was like,
And they
okay,
didn't have the knowledge. I'm gonna just interject that. We didn't have
yeah.
the knowledge that is out there today.
And so it was like, okay, well, if I could just whoop you and you gonna get it, then that's what we gonna do. But I think now, like, we trying to be more intentional with it, so it does look like, okay, we got a sticker chart for the things that you do right, and then if you don't do those things, then you don't get the rewards or the things that you like, whether it's going to the park or whether it's a snack, whatever it is. There are ways to, and especially with kids with like tablets and technology these days, you take away that tablet, now they listening, now they locked in. So I think that you just have to figure out what makes your kids tick, and then kind of play off of that when it comes to discipline.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, it's having those conversations with your mate because often you could have come from two totally different backgrounds. My husband comes from a family with 8 children. I came from a family with just me and my brother. There's a big difference. Um, his dad was the disciplinarian in the house. I mean, like strict, hardcore, manly man discipline. And so that's what he learned. And getting him to realign and understand it takes some work and it's going to take a lot of conversation. I think communication is the key to any relationship, whether it's parent to parent, um, daughter to mother. You know what I'm saying? If your mom is one that still likes to pop, just explaining to her that's not what we do. That's not how we want her to be raised. You know, that's not conducive anymore. What are we teaching? We're teaching violence in the home, but telling them not to be violent outside the home because school gonna expel them if they're violent outside the home. So we have to be mindful and just, helping everybody get on the same page. It's not easy, but definitely worth it. Gentle does not mean weak. Setting limits is discipline. So I don't have to hit you to discipline you or redirect you. I can set boundaries, and as was just stated, taking them electronic devices, baby, it's like taking oxygen. You would think you had just put your hands around their throat when you take away a tablet or a cell phone. Y- They literally, as D'Amica stated, they're locked in because you have their undivided attention. Ain't nothing more important than that device most of the time in a kid's life, whatever that the device is. So you can just set limits. Okay. So since you don't like getting up in the morning, how about all electronic devices go off at 7:30? That's discipline. Now you have to be asleep by 9 o'clock because you don't have anything else to do. We're not turning on a TV. We're not turning on a tablet. We're not. No, 7:30 the devices go out. Now, they might lay in the bed till about 9 before they fall asleep because they're mad, but you didn't lay a hand on them and you taught them that the value of getting enough rest so that you can get up when I have to get up or whenever whatever that looks like. You've put a boundary around it, you've set a limit, you've disciplined the child to understand this is what needs to happen in order for this to happen. You can be firm and loving. I'm gonna laugh at this part because I'm gonna do a little self-disclosure here. Um, I would discipline my child or whip them back in the day, and I'm old, so my kids are way, way, way grown, so learning, right? But I would whoop them and then come in there and still tell them I love them because I didn't ever want them to think, even with my form of discipline at that moment, I never stopped loving you because I hit you. I never stopped loving you because I took your cell phone. I would go in there and hug, and they would be so mad at me. Oh my God, they would be so mad. Get away from me. Don't touch me. I ain't there yet. I ain't over it. Whatever that looks like. But always reaffirm your love in that discipline, because that's something you don't ever want them to think, is that because I had to discipline you, because I had to take this, I don't love you anymore. That's not what you want to, that's not the message you want to send. Be intentional. What is the purpose? What are you looking for as the outcome? Everything we do, it should have an intent. What am I trying to get them to understand? What am I trying to get them to learn? What am I trying to get them to know? Whatever it is, it should be with intent. So make sure we're doing those things. Your child deserves respect too. As I stated earlier, your child is a miniature human. That's it. That's all, or a miniature adult. Okay. They're going to be growing into adulthood, and they're going to be forming opinions from the day they enter this earth. They need respect, because if we don't give them respect in the home, how can they know when they're being disrespected outside the home? If we don't give them respect in the home, how can they know how to exact that respect or demand, right? So we have to respect the fact that they are miniature adults. They're just growing into that. So training them up in those key attributes, characteristics, is important. Allowing them to have a voice. One thing I absolutely 100% believe in is having a voice. So many people have been silenced in so many situations, whether it was abuse in the home, whether it was neglect in the home. They have not had a voice for so long. They get out in the world and people do whatever they want or say whatever they want to them, and they accept it. Young ladies accept men calling them bees because they've never had respect. They never knew that they were worth respecting. They take hits, they get into domestic violence situations because they never knew that they had a voice to demand their respect. Allow your child to grow up empowered by respect, demanding respect, having a voice so that they can be respected. That's too important. How to speak. Let's breathe. I'm all about breathing, because we know that oxygen flow reduces the stress and tension. So, as a therapist, life coach, whatever, one of the first things I do with anyone when I'm sitting one on one is, let's take a deep breath, because we need to release all of that. Okay. And then explaining to the child, I'm not mad. I just want to help you. What do you need from me? One of the, in the line of work that I do, one of the things that we say we have to do when going into an escalated situation is, what does this child need or want from me? What am I feeling in this moment? And how can I make a difference? Okay. We check ourselves at the door with those three. What am I feeling? What does he need or want from me? And how can I make a difference? What am I doing here? So always think about it. What does this child need in this moment, in this very moment, with this behavior? What is this child needing? And how do I make a better choice? What am I feeling? Can I handle this in this moment? In my line of work, we say that's the time to tap out. If my emotions ain't right, you might need to handle this, because if I say, or if they say, it's not going to go in the direction that it needs to go, it's not going to be a positive interaction. So I'm a tap out. And sometimes that's why I say parents have to take the time out, because I know what's going on right now in my own situations, in my own body, in my own head. If I respond right now, it's not going to be a positive response. Knowing yourself is so key. That's why when we were talking, it was parenting while healing, because we're healing still daily from whatever we have experienced. Our experiences are real, and we have to own that. But we also have to be mindful that we don't have to project that onto our child. And so often, let's try this again. Let's rewind the tape. Let me figure it out. But taking that break, taking that time out, I'm all about a parent taking time out. You don't have to put your child in time out. You take the time out to realign you, to rethink what you want to do and how you want to respond, what they are needing, and can I give it at this moment? If not, it's okay to put it on pause and come back later. Questions or comments? Parent and heal. Most of us have open parenting wounds. Break cycles, not yourself. We have to break the generational curses of that's the way my family's always done it. That's the way my mama raised me. That's the way my grandmother did it. Just because they did it, I'm not saying that they did it with malintent. I'm not saying that maybe they didn't know what you now know. They had limited experiences in how to do it differently. The resources that we have today, they didn't have. The information that we have at our fingertips, they didn't have. I grew up, cell phones wasn't a thing. I didn't have Google at my fingertips. Me and my husband were just talking. We researched through encyclopedias that were outdated because we couldn't afford the newest ones. So that was our research. Going to a library, not sitting at our home on the internet. We didn't do research that way. So breaking those cycles because now we have more information, we have more knowledge, we are able to do things differently. We need to do different because we got to break those curses. We got to break those cycles. Our families have been in trauma mode for way too long. Our heritage is rooted in trauma. So let's break those cycles and not break ourselves, because if you don't, I'm sorry, guys. If you don't heal from that, if you don't recover, if you don't change, you are simply taking yourself out from the inside. Therapy, rest, community, and grace matter. Okay. If you're not getting therapy, please, please, please consider it. I think everybody needs to go through some type of therapy at some point in life, because we need to have that safe space where we feel comfortable releasing those trauma-based behaviors, fears, concerns. We need to have a safe space for that. And we can't talk to our family, and we don't want to talk to our spouse about those things because we don't want to project our families in toxic ways to those who will encounter them at some point. We need to have that rest. We need to really, really concentrate on mental and physical rest and help. I really want my kids to have an emotional stable mom. I'm trying right now. And you know what? It will work. It's not an overnight process. I don't know who you're seeing for, but I'm telling you, it's not an overnight process. You're going to have to go through the process, and I commend you. I applaud you for seeking that. And emotionally stable, that is key, because if you are stable in your emotions, you can assist them in growing up to be a stable adult, right? Emotionally stable adult, excuse me. So I give you your kudos for that.
But I
Eh,
also say, like, you know, like how on here it says, grace matters, because the reality is ain't none of us really always emotionally stable. Like, we all have our days, we all have our moments. And what I've been learning is just like to name that with my kids, because one thing I realized about growing up is that I thought that my parents just always had it together. Like I never thought that they had struggles or was sad or was really, frustrated with life or anything like that. And so if I am showing that energy or that emotion or my kids are picking up on it, I just name it and I'll be like, look, I'm tired. I ain't got it to give. So if y'all get on my nerves real bad, I'm probably gonna end up yelling. So in order for us to all have a peaceful night, how about everybody just wind down early tonight? Or like I try to make accommodations in my parenting for those moments where I'm just not there. Like I'm not emotionally stable today. And so I didn't, work this long or somebody didn't upset me and now you coming and asking for crackers is gonna drive me nuts. So I'ma just, make sure everybody have what they need and tell y'all to fall back because today ain't the day. And just naming that kids have bad days. Kids know what it's like to be sad. Kids are more in tune with their basic emotions, happy, sad, angry, they know all of those things. So if you're feeling any of those and you say, mommy gets angry sometimes too, and it's not at you, they can understand that. Sometimes, I'm mad because I didn't get my goldfish or my goldfish dropped on the floor. I'm not mad at you, mommy, but I take that energy out on you sometimes. So when you name that for kids, it humanizes you so that they don't think like you're super mom or whatever. But then it also helps y'all bond because they can acknowledge the fact that like, okay, mommy don't always have to be on and happy and 100% all the time. Like she has bad days too. And I think, for me in my own parenting journey, that has helped a lot because emotionally stable doesn't mean I'm happy all the time. It just means that I'm transparent or I'm communicating or I'm vocal through my emotions and I'm learning how to process them so that I'm not like projecting them onto anybody. But that doesn't mean that I have all good days.
Absolutely. Nobody is, unless you're a robot, you're never going to be in one emotional state at all times. Okay. Um, so being able to get the rest, get the therapy, community. I think community is huge. When they said it takes a village, it was not just an old adage, it was true to fact, right? You need someone to assist you. I was one of those parents, and I I didn't like asking for help, you know? It made you seem weak, in my opinion, because that was my upbringing. I'm not saying that it should not have been that way. So getting that community support, those individuals who can help you in those hard times, in those rough moments, having someone who is willing to grab the kids for a couple of hours on a Saturday so you and your spouse or mate can go out and just be child free, brain free of mommy duties, right? Cooking, cleaning up behind, washing, all of those duties that we have to do, playing with, teaching, whatever that looks like, having that community of people and resources that you can lean and depend on is key to making your life the best that it can be so that you can impart the best part of you into that child. Because at the end of the day, you are enough, but you need these pieces in order to continue. You will literally break yourself trying to be super mom, super wife, super worker, super woman, right? That's not what is beneficial to you or your children. So keep that in mind. And like I said, again, I applaud, I applaud. I can't applaud you enough. Two thumbs up, you know, for you seeking help to be an emotionally stable individual for your children. Um, and I'm sure that you are learning how to do that because 9 times out of 10, we probably didn't get that as a kid. if I be really honest, I know I didn't get it as a kid, how to be emotionally stable. I didn't get the opportunity or the information about seeking help to be emotionally regulated. So, two thumbs up. And as we come to a close, I would like to just give you some information about who Sparks Village is. Spark Village is academy is an educational ecosystem founded in 2020 by the Amelia Odom Thorpe to holistically support students, families, and communities, rooted in the belief that it takes a village for learners to truly thrive. Sparks Village offers a wide range of personalized and flexible services, including online tutoring for elementary subjects, homeschooling establishment and support, parenting classes, educational consulting, mental health support through an educational lens with commitment to culturally relevant, trauma-informed, and community-centered practices. We're building this community. This is a village. It's where education, healing, and empowerment all intersect, allowing students and families to grow, learn, and lead together. I implore you to continue seeking help. I implore you to coming back. We have a parenting manual that is available. It is for sale. There is a QR code attached for that, but we also want your feedback because we want to continue to improve. We want to get better every day. We want our communities to get better. We want healing for our individual families. Um, as we grow, we want everybody to grow along with us. The forms have been put in the chat. In practice, need more strategy? Digital parenting workbook with even more strategies is available for purchase. Breaking down cycles, building connections. We implore you to seek the help you need to be the better person so that our children can grow up healthy, happy, and strong, mentally, physically, and emotionally. We want the best for our community. Thank you, and thank you for showing up for our children, for your children, our communities. This is who we are. Questions, comments? If not, Miss Allie or Ali, I'm not really sure how it's pronounced, but we truly appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you spending time with us today, getting better, because that's what we all are. Aliana, we thank you so much for your participation, your questions, your comments. We appreciate it. Please, 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 if you have any needs in the future, please look us up. We are here for you. We want to build a better community and a brighter future for tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.